nobody's talking about, Georgia's music scene has gained a reputation for being cutthroat, and it's like a wild jungle out there. And recently, the beef game has been getting out of control. The whole internet is buzzing about 4L and 4PF, and these groups have connections to some of the biggest rappers in the city and even the world. 4L is linked to heavyweights like 21 Savage, Young Nudy, and the rising star Baby Drill, while 4PF has ties to the late Lil Marlo, Lil Baby, and others. Here's what's going down in ATL. Most of the mainstream hip-hop fans had no clue about the ongoing conflict in the city that was happening. It was flying under the radar until Young Nudy brought it up during an interview with Charlamagne the God. Charlamagne got a bit confused between 40 and 4PF, but Young Nudy stepped in and set things straight. He made it clear that 4L was the biggest thing in the city and even in the whole industry.
But I see you wear the 4L too. That's Lil Baby on my.
No, we 4L.
Y'all what's Lil Baby?
They 4PL.
4PL. Yeah. I don't know the difference, man. Oh, God. What's the difference?
Shit, we the biggest. Big 4L.
Big 4L.
But that wasn't the only interview that brought these two group names close to each other. See, there was yet another person who started speaking publicly about the differences, and this person got into speaking on some of the details, too. Especially the ones that are not so comfortable to listen to. See, a guy by the name of Chris J hopped on multiple interviews recently where he had a chance to bring his side of the story to the table. He, too, spoke on 4PF versus 4L and where they stand in terms of numbers. While it may be true that 21 Savage and 4L are doing better, at least in terms of numbers, according to Chris, they also are up on the body count. In other words, their crew is responsible for taking more lives than 4PF. The interview went on a little something like this.
4PF is not dealing with 4L. 4L up on them bodies. Lil Baby, Marlo, yeah. He know what I'm talking about. 4L, we ain't gonna say too much. We up on them bodies. We talking double digits.
That's what I'm saying.
Young Nudy got 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Lil Baby don't got no artist with anywhere near that. 21 Savage got 57 million monthly listeners. Lil Baby got 31 million. Stop playing. Lil Baby sold 230. 21 sold 450. It's levels to this.
People don't let this one go by unnoticed. Stuff like this could be even considered snitching. I swear being a detective has to be the easiest job in the world right now. Others were furious as the way in which this person made the comparison made it sound as if this competition was something good when it clearly isn't. We gotta stop glorifying the violence, y'all. Us as black people gotta stop glorifying death. It's ignorant. One thing's definitely a fact. 4L and PFK both have connections to some of the biggest rappers in the city and even worldwide. Young Nudy touched this topic only opened up a can of worms that was basically waiting to pop out anyway. Recently, we lost a rising Atlanta rapper named Marlo. He was making moves in the game and had respect from the heavyweights. The police say he got shot and killed in a single car accident. It turns out it wasn't an accident at all. Someone was specifically targeting him. This happened during a messed up time in Atlanta, with gun violence on the rise and protests against police killings. Here's what happened though. The cops responded to a car crash on Interstate 285. When they got there, they found Marlo dead inside his ride. They're still trying to figure out all the details, but it looks like Marlo was the only one they wanted to take out. The police are working hard to uncover what went down that night. Marlo, aka Lil Marlo, didn't jump into music until later in life. He wanted to get out of the streets, the whole gun and drug scene that surrounded him growing up in rough Atlanta neighborhoods. He signed with Quality Control Music, the label that brought us Migos and Lil Yachty, and even collaborated with Lil Baby. He dropped a bunch of mixtapes that showcased his raw street tales. Maybe he didn't blow up on the charts, but he had mad respect from his peers. He's about to blow up. Marlo's death left a void in the music industry. Other artists showed love and recognized his own real potential. He had a rough upbringing in those crime-infested Atlanta projects, and his music reflected the realness he saw growing up. So there's this Atlanta news reporter by the name of George Cheedy, right? He came up with this crazy idea. He basically said that Baby Drill, who's part of the 4L crew and rolls with 21 Savage and Young Nudy, might be involved in this whole thing. Apparently, Baby Drill got questioned by the cops because he was arrested for some other stuff related to the shooting. They wanted to know if he had any connection to it. They even brought up his lyrics as evidence. They had issues with one of the lines where he rapped about catching his first one when he was only 18 years old. That's the same age as Lil Marlo. The rising PFK artist was when he got hit up. On Dud Saying, Baby Drill raps,
"Learn how to use that pistol, caught my first one out 18.
And in another song, he referenced P from Quality Control record label, and he got people curious. He rapped about and said something along the lines of P should have hooked them up with bulletproof rides for all their artists. Now that got folks wondering if he was talking about Lil Marlo's tragic death, Or perhaps that was merely a coincidence. If you ask DJ Academics, he believes that Atlanta may have reached a period where they haven't been getting enough attention, and that's why he thinks we might be hearing more about the trouble that they had recently. With the YSL case coming in, a lot of fuss has been started over Atlanta and the gangs that run the city. Perhaps it's time for ATL to take over the role of Chicago. He commented on the Atlanta page that he's been blowing up lately because of all the drama and legal stuff. It's like they bringing all the street talk online. But the truth of the matter is, in Atlanta, gangs ain't no different from other gangs. They want to get the credit for what they do too, you know? So you can't really blame the page. Even the Atlanta rappers be rapping about it, as we saw with Baby Drill and a bunch of other rappers too. Atlanta dudes might feel like people have been watching them, acting like everything's all sweet in Atlanta. Now Atlanta's finally spilling the beans and showing how wild things have been. Yeah, they're on a self-snitching streak, man. Atlanta's on that kind of vibe now. Chicago's been doing that for the longest time, and New York tried to ride the wave for a bit, but most of them ended up in jail. Atlanta's just saying, y'all gonna act like we ain't out here taking lives too? But it's not that simple, and we can't just state that ATL's going full-on snitching mode like that. We gotta check the stats and make sure there's some merit to what we claim. There are also a bunch of others who believe that this whole story of gang war in Atlanta taking place is just a bunch of trash. But here's the thing though, some simply don't see the reason why anyone would blame Marlo's death on 4L. And truthfully, it's a legit question to ask. Here's why. If there's some serious beef going on between 4L and 4PF, why is then Lil Baby hanging out with 21 Savage? It's all a little bit perplexing. See, Lil Baby and 21 Savage have been cool for a little longer than just a minute. Nobody ever heard about any bad blood between them. There's no hard evidence of the two alleged leaders of these gangs going at each other's throats. There ain't even beef rumors out there. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of inconsistencies in most of the stories that we find about any real or direct conflicts between 4PF and 4L. If it wasn't for the video that blew up where Nudie compared the two groups saying that 4L is bigger, well, who knows if the hype would even be this big. In this day and age, it's kind of funny to see just how far one viral video can go. After we saw Nudie speak on numbers, we immediately saw a guy pop up online who started going not only into numbers, but into some of the street politics too. The fact that he mentioned bodies and Lil Baby not sliding for his homeboy who got murked, that was enough to spark an entire conversation about a gang war going on. At this moment, no such thing can be claimed. We're not saying, however, that it will not transpire perhaps in the future. However, there's really not a strong reason to believe that 4L and 4PF are really beefing like that. But what's y'all's take on this situation we got going on in Atlanta? Do you think the gang beefs that we see taking place with diss tracks and the fact that YSL Rico caught a lot of noise has to do something with gang war rumors? Let us know all about it down in the comments section below. If you like this video, make sure to click like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more hip-hop